Okay, I want to share with you my tips about installing a hydraulic steering system for my boat. Um, I had a cable steering system before. It's a quick connect Teleflex quick connect 15 inches steel cable that I installed or replaced when I bought the boat in 2013, I think. Anyway, um, the first year was great. I was able to steer the boat left and right. But the second year started to get frozen. Uh, can't turn all the way to the right or to the left. And 15 was even worse. 2016 was really struggling, and over those years I had to take my motor out of my boat, remove my Johnson 90 horsepower out of my boat to um, really clean the tube. As you can see this in this picture here, it's right here. It's actually underneath the boat cover here. It's very rusty, and when I bought the boat, it's very rusty. Anyway, I gotta speed up this a little bit. So I decided to buy myself this Baystar hydraulic steering system. Heard all kinds of good things about it, and I also my steering was frozen after a few trips. So that's the first thing I want to address. Second thing I want to address is, as you can see here, this helm is so short compared. It's only 1 inch. My hands almost touching my GPS 498 map of 498. It's a Garmin. When I what do you call that? When I try to turn my steering wheel, so it's a pain in the neck. But I when I was researching this, I noticed the helm is for hydraulic. It's like almost 4 inches long or deep. So after I installed it, and you can see I got so much room, and my fingers won't be touching the Garmin GPS anymore when I turn the steering wheel. So those are the two major reasons why I upgraded. The third thing I heard was when you drive a boat with hydraulic steering, when you leave your hands um, away from this steering wheel, it will still go straight, but the cable steering you can't, and plus it's really fighting hard when you want to turn, so it's really a struggle for the cable steering, but the hydraulic, you won't experience that. So I will be able to testify to that once I take my boat to water test. Anyway, so let's go back to the first page. Here we go. So on the left hand side is my old Teleflex QC Quick Connect 2 cable steering system, and I put a couple of videos on this, and also how to clean the tube, this tube underneath, where this long cable go in and out through this tube, and over time it gets rusted, so it's very hard to turn. And this is the new hydraulic system I put in. There's a support arm. This is the right support arm, and there's another left support arm. It's split, and these two support arms, they don't go through this old steering tube. It's rusted, so it's pretty good. I cleaned it, and because it doesn't go through this and slide in and out like the old cable, and instead the hydraulic has its own cylinder, and this bar or shaft is the one that goes sliding back and forth, or this black cylinder is sliding left to right on this steel bar that my cursor is pointing to. You know, this is a clear tube, just to show you um, where to bleed the oil and air. But anyway, this is a finished product. Okay, so let's go to the top. Okay, so the first thing is it's made by SeaStar. It's for outboard boat motors. It's HK42008 installation tips. So the system includes a helm pump, which is around the 4-inch cylinders that's underneath the steering wheel. And oh, by the way, I was able to use my existing steering wheel, so I didn't have to buy a new steering wheel, which was a plus. You know, any bit of money saved is good because this hydraulic system cost me over $500, so it's very expensive. And this Baystar tubing kit, there are 2 tubes, and there are also 2 bottles of steering fluid, and there's a filler kit. I'll show you in a second, which is basically this guy here. Let me point it. Oops. We'll get to it. Anyway, so the first thing you need to buy is this HA4642. You gotta buy separate from this hydraulic system because my motor is a 1982 motor, and what came with this HK4200A3 is for 1991 and later. So if you have a motor that's 1991 and later, you don't need this adapter plate, but I do. Anyway, so here we go. And there is a very clear instruction chart in the manual where I almost overlook that the adapter. Oh, I made a video to show you how to switch out the cylinder that came with the hydraulic cylinder that came with the package to this pivot adapter that I purchased separately. And here is let me magnify this to 6 inches. Here we go. What happened? Here we go. Here we go. So you can see there are 2 holes here. You're supposed to put the screws right here through this second hole, and this is the protruding rod from your motor. Okay, so you know it's figure 14D on the instruction manual. Anyway, so continue. Next, you attach the 2 split support arms into the motor's tilt tube, and remember to grease it. Okay, grease it, and then lock the left supporting arms stainless knot counterclockwise on the left of the motor's tilt tube screw when facing the motor on the left. Now, next thing is attach the curl of a hydraulic tube that came in the package to the cylinder, but don't tighten them yet. The mesh protective ends should be connected to the motor side instead of the helm side. Okay, let me magnify this. Here we go. Ooh, it's not that clear. Dang. Anyway, let me get to this other thing. Ooh, hydraulic steering. Here we go. Where is it? This guy? No. This guy here. Yeah. So you can see this is this tube with mesh protected cover over here. You can see the mesh cover. You should connect these 2 black pipe that came in the package to the valve, one on the right, one on the left. And then this is the bleeding valve where you're gonna stick your plastic tube to it in order to bleed the oil and air out of it. Okay, and this is the hydraulic cylinder that came in the package, and I have on the corner I have a picture that shows you what's underneath my steering wheel and the helm pump, how I connected it. So these two are the tubes, hydraulic tubes without mesh cover. They should be connected to the helm pump, and you want to connect these before you install the helm pump and the steering wheel. Okay. Let's get to, and then I explain my shift cable, throttle cable, startup power, um, yeah, all that good stuff. Attach the other end to the helm. Port to the stop bore, or port left to the right, right to the left. I meant, install the one on underneath the helm on the left side to the right hand side of the engine in the back. You pretty much cross the two wires, and then the other tube you will connect to the right or the starboard side on the engine to the left or port on the helm underneath the steering wheel, and then you install the hydraulic helm pump into the dashboard after attaching both hydraulic tubes, and lock the knots well and tight. The oil fill cap on the helm pump should face up. My old helm had 3-inch openings, so only need to drill 4 holes on the dashboard to mount the helm pump on the dashboard. And the holes originally was perfect. If it is a hydraulic pump, and I bet most of the boats will probably fit too, as long as you have a 3 inches hole. It's a standard for most boats. Get lots of rags at the helm and also at the motor side for the air and oil bleeding process, because you need them. It's going to get very messy and oily. I did it 3 times, turning the wheel all the way to the right, and 3 times turning the wheel to the left. Some YouTubers did it for 10 times, and we'll see when I water test this thing to see how I did. I did it on land, and I was able to turn lock to lock 5 turns, so I think it's okay. I think I should be fine. The other thing is, as you can see in this picture, I caught the bottom. I continue. Attach the clear plastic filled tube to the helm after unscrewing the cap counterclockwise, and you have to use tool to open the helm cap. And let's see if we can resize this and make it bigger so you can see what I'm talking about when I say the helm cap, which is basically the whole. Here we go. Probably not close, which is right here. This is the cap. Okay, I try to use my fingers to open this cap. This cap has the fill cap, because this is where you connect the fill tube to here and feed the oil into this hydraulic pump. Okay, so let's continue. You want to use the tool to open the helm cap and pour the first bottle of oil through the fill tube into the hydraulic pump. The pump and also the tubes are not going to take, the whole system is going to take about a bottle of oil, 1 quart, which is 32 ounces about. Actually less. I don't think I used all 32 ounces. I probably used around 30 or 29, maybe 28. I got a little bit left over. The helm and the tubes will consume about half of oil in the first bottle when you first pour the oil into the helm pump and through the tubes. But at this point, you want to still continue to hold your first bottle and secure it for the entire air and oil bleeding process, because um, and get ready. Someone else will have to hold it for the entire bleeding process. I was able to get my wife to help me to hold the bottle, which is pain in the neck. And luckily, the whole entire I think bleeding process took about, I'll say, about 15-20 minutes. It's really not that long, because every turn it's really something like a minute to 2 minutes. I did that 6 times, 3 to the right, 3 to the left. So, 2 minutes the most, that's 12 minutes. Of course, there, a few minutes, couple minutes, she has to wait for me to get ready in the back of the motor. So as soon as you have the first bottle filled and also everything is cool, you get back to the, one person will have to get back to the motor and um, connect the clear tube, and also get a container. What I did was I used a measurement measurement cup, which is 32 ounces, enough to catch one bottle or 1/4 of oil. So, and I also prepare lots of rags to prepare to wipe the oil clean. And while I connect the clear bleed tube to the left port side bleed valve by removing the black plastic cap, and I use an open wrench to unscrew the counterclockwise the brown knot attached to the clear bleed tube to let air and oil out. The right hand side of the bleed valve should already have the um, hydraulic tube connected with oil in it. Now the second person can instruct. So I told my wife, the first person at the helm, to start turning the wheel slowly, nonstop to the right, clockwise, for at least a minute or until no air in the oil is coming out of the clear bleed tube in the back. So I was doing the bleeding and watching, make sure there's no more bubbles coming out of the tube. Now, you got to make sure the oil will continue to be in the first bottle. So you got to pour the second bottle. Get ready to pour the second bottle. So so it's a two people job. And you move the cup and rags and clear bleed tube to the right hand side of the bleed valve this time. After you bleed out the air from the left hand side. Now you do the right hand side, and you loosen the brown nut attached to the clear bleed tube to let air and oil out and instruct. So I told my wife to start turning the wheel to the left slowly and nonstop until no air is coming out of the clear tube from the from the port side valve. So I repeated the bleeding process 3 times and purge all of the air out of the system. The tips are: do not let the filled bottle run out of the oil, and do not stop turning the wheel until no air is coming out in the back on the motor side from the bleed valve. You should use about 1 bottle of oil and left with a full bottle of oil for future air bleeding. You can reuse those, but the bottle of oil is probably less. By now you should be able to steer your motor left and right all the way without any, binding, and mission accomplished. Pat yourself on the back for $700 DIY job, and well done. Okay, I'll put some video up so shortly.